Hey everyone, I hope you're having a good day today. I've been thinking about something. I've been thinking about the spiritual war that we fight as Christians and the overall nature of the war that we fight as believers, and the fact that it's a reflection. The things that we struggle with on this earth is a reflection of what is going on behind scenes. And what the enemy wants us to do is he wants us to think that all we're dealing with is something that's in the flesh alone. He wants us to completely forget his tactics. He wants us to become familiar with his effect, forgetting that there's a cause, and that's Satan. He wants us to be so comfortable with thinking that we have to fight using our own fleshly tools, when in reality, the very nature of the war that we're fighting is spiritual. We do not wage war against flesh and blood. This is why we're called to put on the armor of God. And that's a very simple understanding, but it's a very difficult tactic, And there's something else that I think is interesting, is that when we recognize the struggles, when we recognize the issues in our lives, or just even struggles in a broad sense, I think sometimes, and I fall victim into this as well, is that it can be very easy for us. In fact, we tend to think that our purpose is to point out the issue, but then forget that we are also the solution as Christians. We're not simply here to point out the flaws. We're not simply here to point out the issues, but rather to be the solution in preaching the gospel, because that is the solution for true healing. The gospel of Jesus Christ, right? So just understand that as a Christian, when you fight, it's not in flesh. You do not use your own fleshly weaponry, but rather the weaponry of God, which is the armor of God. And when you do that, it isn't just to point out the issues, but rather to be the solution in a dark and fallen world when we fight the spiritual war. So stand up, preach the gospel, and represent Christ faithfully. God bless.